Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm making a video about the current protests that are going on around the world in relation to the death of George Floyd, a black American who was killed brutally by the police. It's very sad what's happening, and I wholeheartedly agree that in this time and age there's no place for racism or discrimination, and Black Lives Matter, of course, but also all lives matter. This is one case where it was filmed and it was broadcasted on social media and people found out about it, but I'm sure there are thousands of other cases happening around the world where police brutality is going on and it's not acceptable. The reason I'm making this video is I want to highlight quite a few things that are happening at the moment and what the impact of those things will be. So first of all, I will talk about the current events, what's going on in various countries, and then towards the end of this video I'll explain the outcome of what's going to happen as a result. Because the way these protests are happening, it's not going to have any positive impact. It's going to have severe negative impact on all of our lives and the society and the discrimination elements. First of all, in countries like America, China, Russia, the police seem to have a lot of powers and weapons, and they use it very freely and aggressively. But these countries are kind of dictatorships where people don't have civil rights. They are civil rights on paper, but in reality people don't feel free. As a child, my parents moved around and we lived in several different countries, including Asia and Middle East and Europe and America, and I've experienced a lot of different types of discrimination and racism, and to be honest, the most racism I've experienced has always been in Asia and in the Middle East. So Europe and America are probably better, but America is still extremely racist. It's something that needs to be addressed, but it needs to be done peacefully, because what people are doing at the moment, the way they're protesting, is going to have a negative outcome. Black Lives Matter, yes. So that's your slogan, and you are protesting that all black people should have equal rights and they should not be discriminated against. But I think to do that, every black person is in the spotlight. So every action that any black person does in the wake of these protests becomes more enhanced and more visible. There are good and bad people in all races and all populations, but right now, when there are videos on social media of shops being ransacked, it just revalidates the stereotype that people have. 1% of any population or any race are criminals. But right now, all of this footage that is being documented and being posted online will stay there for decades to come. And people will remember this time and they will forget about all the other issues. They will use these things as an example. So my request, and I urge all the people involved in these protests, is don't do negative things, because all you're doing is revalidating what others perceive and believe of you. So if you're any kind of minority, this is the time to be extremely peaceful. If you have a very, very peaceful march and a protest and you go and get, I don't know, a petition signed, give it to the Prime Minister, the President, or whoever is in charge, and say these are the things we want the government to do, they will take some action. But if you go around defacing public property, damaging things, ransacking shops and stealing stuff, the government's not going to fix anything. They will give more powers to the police. Of course, all the other law-abiding citizens and those who are not involved in these protests, they want to feel safe and secure. But because of this small minority of the mob, these authorities and police will be given more powers. It's happening in America already. They're bringing out National Guard, the army's handing over surplus weapons to the police. The outcome is that all of these countries where this is happening will become more of a police state. This is not a staged incident, but in the past, anyone who's read history will know that there have been staged incidents like this where the government creates scenarios where people will get angry and will protest. And when they protest, they will have to take action and bring in new laws. Those laws then become permanent. They're not temporary. The police and the authorities get more powers, So you end up losing a little bit of your freedom every time you do this. So the protests have to be extremely peaceful for them to be effective. I have friends who were involved in these protests who are educated people. I don't agree with them because at the moment, with the coronavirus everywhere, there is a lockdown in place. There are government guidelines that say not more than X number of people can be together in one place. So 10,000 people protesting in one place next to each other, not very good. I mean, they could have done this very peacefully. They've gone around the cities defacing private property, public property, damaging statues, memorials. I mean, I can understand that people may get angry, but defacing and damaging statues of someone like Winston Churchill and Abraham Lincoln, the guy who abolished slave trading and slavery in America, defacing his statue, really, people? I am ashamed of my fellow human beings for doing things like this, because obviously these people have no understanding of the history or anything that happened in the past. Somehow they think that the world magically appeared and our civilization magically appeared 30 years ago and there was nothing before that. If we look back in history, how far do we need to go? Is there a cut-off point that where we can say, right, we'll go back 200 years or 100 years or 50 years? Because if you look at anyone's past or anyone's history, your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, or their ancestors, someone somewhere was racist. Someone somewhere was a criminal. So what are you going to do? Are you going to deface everyone, every human being? We need to look forward and look ahead. See how we're going to change this world, make it a better place. Instead of talking about what happened 500 years ago, it doesn't mean anything anymore because we can't go back and change history. We need to figure out what was wrong in that history and how we can learn from it and move on. It's just extremely sad that these people who are involved in these protests are the wrong people and they are doing the wrong things that will have an awful outcome for other people. Finally, the police force in the UK is one of the best police forces I have ever come across. Even around Western Europe, you go to Germany, Netherlands, France, other countries, the police are carrying weapons. They look aggressive, they look angry, and you don't feel like approaching the police. In England, the police don't carry weapons. They're extremely friendly. And if I need something, if I even want to chat to a stranger, I'd happily go and walk up to a policeman and chat to them because they're just normal people. They're there to help us and protect us. So when these protesters are going out around London and protesting, and not just London, other cities in the UK, and throwing things at the police and injuring them, it makes my blood boil because I believe freedom, complete freedom and rights. But right now, I feel that the government should arrest these people, fine them. They should get criminal records. They should have used tear gas. They should have used water cannons. I mean, I can now understand why China, Russia, and many of these other countries with dictatorships treat the protesters so badly, because protesters aren't the normal general population. They are people who've lost the plot. So, I mean, look at the example of what happened in Hong Kong and how the people who were protesting were treated by the police. That is an example of comparing those countries to ours. We should be happy that we live in a free country where we have rights and the police don't harass us and don't beat us up. There are tons and tons of videos of policemen on horses and the mob throwing bicycles at horses. Seriously, people, why would you do that? Why are you hurting an animal who has done nothing? That animal is actually a slave of humanity and is being used. The horse didn't ask to be put in the middle of a protest. Some human being brought it, and you're injuring it because why? I'm really shocked by everything that I'm seeing online, and it's making me very sad because the whole idea of creating equality is disappearing. No one is doing anything to highlight the issues and what to do about it. There's no manifesto, there's no discussion. There should be online forums, they should have meetings, there should be seminars, there should be conferences, to discuss what we are going to do, how we're going to change the world. These protests mean nothing. They destroy public property. And another point that I would like to quickly make about destruction of public property is, where is this money coming from? We're going through a recession because of coronavirus and all these other issues and the massive population explosion. So these lefties specifically, who are going around destroying public property, when all of this needs to be fixed and cleaned, where is the money coming from? The money is going to come from us as the society, the taxpayers. So they want the government to give them free healthcare, to give them all kinds of benefits, for them never to work and stay at home. And at the same time, they're going around destroying public property. That money is our money. If you go and destroy stuff, you're just destroying your own stuff. The other main important thing to remember is private property is cheaper than public property, because public property goes through tons and tons of approvals, standards, checks. For example, if you were to put a lamppost with a light on in your house, it will cost £1,000, let's say. The same kind of lamppost to put on a public street will probably cost £10,000 to £20,000, because it needs sort of health and safety inspections, approvals. It needs to have a very long life. It needs to be very tough. It needs to be resistant to this, that, and the other. So the cost of having things put out there in the public domain is huge. And these monuments that were created to remember people who've done things for us, like Abraham Lincoln, Churchill, all these people, just calling Churchill a racist doesn't make him a racist. And Abraham Lincoln was one of the greatest presidents in the United States who abolished slavery. So what are these people actually saying? What is the protest about? There is no message. Some people have figured out they have a reason, they have a cause now to get behind and go out, take out their aggression, steal some stuff, and then feel good about it. And then blame the government for everything that's happening. The world isn't happening to you. You are happening to the world. And then it's one of those videos that I never wanted to make. And I know that I'll probably get a lot of abuse for making this video and people will call me racist and all that, but I don't really care because I'm a minority in every possible way. I've had some DNA tests done and it shows I'm a big minority, but that's not the point. The point is that we all need to be civilized human beings. We need to be adults. We need to respect others. And if you're asking equal rights, and if you're asking for opportunities, and if you're asking to be treated as well as the next person, then you need to behave like the next person. You can't say that I'm going to be a barbarian, but I want you to treat me like a king. So thanks for watching, and please share this video with your friends and family and others, because if you agree, of course, with the message, because what I'm trying to raise here is the fact that we need to do these protests peacefully. We need to discuss this in open forums. We need to have debates. We need to have conferences. Things need to happen to take action. Protesting on the streets has no outcome whatsoever. All it does is create more animosity and hatred towards people that are being hated already, because as a result of this, something bad is happening around us in our society. So I want to quickly show you what I mean about sampling and how our brain works when people say, oh, not everyone who's protesting is violent, not everyone who's protesting is a thief. But unfortunately, the way human brain works is we look at a small sample and then we do stereotyping. It doesn't matter what you say and how you justify it, it is the fact and you can't change it. Here's a glass. This is clean water, and here in my hand I have a spoon with urine in it. It's piss. So these are all the peaceful protesters, vast majority of them. These are the criminals, the ones who are looting the shops, breaking things, defacing public and private property. And here, that one drop of piss I have put in this glass of clean water. It's not visible. At the molecular level, it's kind of disappeared. You can't smell it. Will you drink it? No. You'll throw all of this water away because of that one drop, because you will think all of this water is dirty. And it's a fact, all of it is dirty now, because we've seen that one little drop of urine go into it. And that's what's happening around us at the moment. There might be people who are doing the protest for the right reasons, but that drop of horrible people going into that is ruining it. And the whole idea, this whole concept is ruined. So if you're out there protesting, you need to make sure that you control and advise these people around you not to do the wrong things, because otherwise all of your effort is completely wasted and useless.